can just not touch anything. I hate you to go home with extra souvenirs and for the laundry bill. But as we go around, I'll tell you a little bit about the building, a little bit about the vehicles and how they're built, etc. So hopefully by the time you go away, you'll have an idea of what goes into what you're sitting on behind the locomotive on the round up and down the line. The building itself is the first, well, we're in here at the moment, is the first phase of Operation Undercover. You've probably seen the building site down behind the station at Sheffield Park where they're building this next bit. But the first bit was effectively from the wall at the end of the platform here this way. It was put up coming on for 10 years ago and has provided a lot more workshop space for us to actually restore the vehicles. What you're seeing down behind Sheffield Park is a carriage store primarily, so we're going to put things like the Pullmans in there, the Metropolitan coaches, so hopefully keep them out of the weather and make them survive a bit longer. Restorations of these vehicles can cost anything from about £5,000 to £10,000 or something like this, to one of the Pullmans was about £300,000 to £400,000, so you can't afford to leave those outside all the time, otherwise 30 years later you're going to spend, by that time it's going to be another naught in the end, so you can't afford to do that. So that shed will be for operational vehicles, and in due course we're going to go that way with another shed which will double the size of what we're going to look at today, and hopefully that will be for storage of everything else you see under tarpaulins and rotting away at the back. By keeping vehicles undercover, we hope, once they're complete, to save about £2,500 a year on the long-term maintenance problem. It means that you don't have to keep revarnishing and repainting them every few years, and the kettle fabric will last far longer, because a coach like the one at the back there, which has got 64 seats in, to retrim that at the moment will cost about £20,000, possibly more, and that's for the fabric and the labour. So the longer we can keep them undercover and out of the sun, the better. Anyway, coming to the first vehicle we have here, it is a London Brighton South Coast Railway Brake Third, built in 1881, which was the year before the line opened, and would have been very typical of the sort of thing you'd have seen around this area between East Grinstead, Lewes and Brighton. So it's very appropriate that we have a train of these. For a long time we've had the Terriers like the one that's running down the Arding line today, but nothing of the same vintage for them to pull, so that's where this comes in. And also there's a couple of four-wheelers running around today as well, and they're the first two we've done. So this one, passenger brake third, what that means is from there to about here is the passenger compartments. Third class, so it's fairly bog standard, fairly rough and ready, whereas at this end you've got the guard in splendid isolation. So the compartments themselves have got one single lamp in here for the three bits, and as a result there's no partition between the seat back and the roof, so the light can go from one end to the other. The railways at this time particularly were fairly parsimonious when it came to third class passengers, so if they could save money they would, hence one bulb in one lamp here. Whereas if you were to travel in a first class coach, you'll see it's four compartments, each compartment's got its own light of two bulbs, so there's far more light in there than would be in this one. The seats themselves, the backs are fairly low, so you'll be rubbing heads and shoulders with the person sitting the other side, and also they're just timber boards, so there's no padding on these, and there's no maquette or fabric either. So depending how well it's done, it could be fairly comfortable, but I think over a period of time it's fairly numbing as well. The other thing it didn't have, or never had, was any form of heating in here. So during the winter, if you're travelling before it was withdrawn in 1911, on a cold day you just wrapped up warm, or if you could afford it you'd have rented a hot water bottle from the station that you started off and handed in when you got to the other end. But you could at least be satisfied in the knowledge that those travelling comfortably in first class also had to have their own hot water bottles or heating, extra clothing, because none of the vehicles had heating at all, but we are putting it in anyway, so modern day passengers in this will at least have some heat in here if they do have a wooden seat. One of the ideas is in the brake here we'll have cushions for rent, a bit like you used to get at Wimbledon or football or wherever. So if it does get too bad going up and down the line, we might make a few coppers on the side. The vehicle itself, as I say, built in 1881, sold out of traffic in 1911 when it finished the end of its useful life. And at that sort of time, particularly from then right through to mid-1920s, the railways were getting rid of all these short coaches and going for larger ones like you see down there. They were they'd either sell them off if they could, or just scrap the bodies by burning them. Keep the underframe, which is steel, and they could either reuse it or melt it down and start again. But some of them were sold off. In this case, it went to a farm near Ewhurst in Surrey, the Guildford direction, and sat outside for the next 85 years. Some of the other ones, if we were lucky, were sold off and used as part of houses, and they're in far better condition. This one had a corrugated iron roof, which has saved the roof itself, the boards, the hoops, and the top rail which sits on here and holds everything together. That's in fine condition. So are some of these top rails, but as you can see, everything else here is effectively new. They've taken away most of my usual props now, so they've all been superseded, but that's a typical bit of external timber. This is mahogany, which in theory is fairly rot resistant, but you can just see, just peel bits off there. It's just, sure. It's quite a long time, yeah. And you can see the bit of timber down here is the original bottom or build rail, which is the bit I'm standing on. And the main purpose of that is to hold the door pillars upright and support the floor. And that's the one that was in the corner of the field. You can see what the livestock's done down this end here. They've got a bit peckish at some time or other. So that's completely redundant. We've using a different timber now, something called Utileaf for this, which is on the metal prop here, on the handrails here, the different timbers we use. That's Utileaf, that's mahogany. So that's what it was built with. This is what it is built with, we're using now. That's far cheaper than that. Even so, a piece that long is will be prohibitive, so we've actually used 3 bits and joined them together. We have started using it on corner pillars and door pillars down that end, but usually it's a nasty habit. If you take lumps out of it, it twists. And the last thing you want to do is have a twisted door pillar to try and match it to a twisted or non-twisted door stile. So the stile is actually the size of the door itself. These are the door pillars. So we've actually now decided to use teak. And unfortunately, a piece big enough to get one of these pillars out of is about £250. So it's not cheap. If we can reuse, we will do. But at times, like this one, you'll just have to bite the bullet and go for it.